What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and today's video we're looking at intermittent fasting. It is something that I do, and I've found that it works for me, but I'm not gonna sit here and try and preach to you that you should do it exactly the same way I do it, because it may not work for you the way it has for me. Like the way that I do it might not work for you. So I've got here an article by Healthline which is titled 6 Popular Ways to Do Intermittent Fasting, and we're just gonna have a little look at them, and you can sort of decide whether or not it's something that you want to do. Does it actually say in this little opening bit? Okay, so it says that there are a couple of different methods for this particular eating pattern. But it does say, before embarking on an intermittent fast or deciding how often to fast, you should speak with a healthcare professional, and that realistically, at the end of the day, should be your first port of call. A healthcare professional is going to know, one way or the other, if that's going to work for you. You've just got to be careful, as you do with most things that people can say and have opinions about, that your particular healthcare professional doesn't have, like a hard bias one way or the other about it. That they're sort of approaching it with like the open-minded of like, it works for some people, it doesn't work for others, and also knowing that there's multiple ways can also help. So there's kind of the one that I do, and I feel like this is the most popular way to do it, which is the 16-8 method. Basically, it involves fasting every day for about 16 hours and restricting your daily eating window to 8. So for instance, the way that I would do this is I would say eat from midday to 8 p.m. or like 11 to 7, or like you can adjust your window to what suits you best, and then when you're asleep at night there's 8 hours, and you just gotta take that other 8 hours from somewhere. So that might be, say for instance, I'm doing the 11 to 7 break, right? 11's sort of like, a brunch sort of lunch type thing, have a meal at sort of 2 o'clock sort of thing, dinner at 7, and that's like the last thing you eat, and from then on everything else is fasting. I might go to bed at 10, so there's 3 hours there. That means that I'm getting up at say 6 o'clock, and I'm not eating until 11, so there's your other 5, so there's the total of 8 hours awake time and 8 hours of sleep time for that 16 hours. Because that's the thing that you've got to remember, is that whether you think fasting is a good idea or not, you're doing it for a third of your life anyway when you sleep. That's literally why breakfast is called breakfast, because you are breaking the fast. You couldn't be more on the nose if you tried. But yeah, the 16-8 is sort of the most popular one. Within that eating window you can fit in 2 or 3 meals. Usually you would want to have, one as your breakfast, as where you are breaking the fast. If you want to do 3 meals, you then have one sort of 4 hours later, and then your third one 4 hours after that, so that they're spread out nice and evenly. So if it was the 11 to 7 one, that'd be, what's that, 11 a.m, 3 p.m, 7 p.m. which, you know, is doable. So yeah, a whole bunch of other stuff here. Doing this method can actually be as simple as not eating anything after dinner and skipping breakfast. And that's, when it says skipping breakfast here, I am gonna sort of delve in a little bit to the keto body program that I do as well, because intermittent fasting is something that it suggests for its particular program, and that's also important because the exercise that you're doing is built around the fact that you're going to be fasting as well. But they suggest that you can still have like a black coffee in the morning and fruit. You know, so like on the days where I have the time to make myself something in the morning, you know, because obviously I've got to have my water to take my tablets in the morning, and that's allowed. And then I can do sort of the same sort of thing with my coffee, just have it black, no milk, so I'm not having, you know, the fats that are in milk, I'm not having any of the sugars that are in milk, I'm not, you know, any of the proteins that are in milk. Like, milk really has all three macros in it. So I'm not actually taking on any of those macros unsweetened, so that the coffee itself doesn't really have, I mean, I cheat a little bit and put like 1 teaspoon of sugar in, like 1 level teaspoon of sugar in, just to sort of take the bitterness out of my coffee in the morning. And then, yeah, like a banana, and you have that to go. Easy, simple breakfast, takes about 2 minutes to put together, and, you know, it really means that you don't have to worry too much about the rest of getting ready for the day in the morning. Sort of like personally why I do it. So it does say that here. You can drink water, coffee, and other zero-calorie beverages during the fast, which can help reduce feelings of hunger. The other reason that like black coffee is sort of recommended on the program that I'm doing is because it's also based around doing like a morning sort of workout as well, which I can't do because of the hours that I work, but it's built around that, so that you can sort of kickstart your metabolism to try and keep the amount of body fat down as low as possible, while also keeping it into gear, so that when you start working out, all of the like it sort of kickstarts your metabolism as much as it can to already be on the lookout to sort of start that the muscle growth while you're working out, which is really cool as well. And as for most things, when it comes to dietary health, it is important that you are eating healthy food. The fast isn't going to work if your 3 meals are McDonald's, KFC, and Pizza Hut. It's not. You can try this as much as you like, but if you're saying, oh, I can drink coffee in the morning, and you're doing, you know, a drive by Starbucks on the way to work, and then, you know, having takeout for every other meal, it's still not gonna work. Even if you're fasting and exercising, you might start seeing, you know, a little bit of fat loss potentially, depending on what your exercise is like. But realistically, your macro count's going to be way out, and the amount of exercise you're going to have to do is going to be way up there. And if you're fasting at the same time, you're just not going to have the like you're just not going to have the energy, and it can also affect things like your sex drive and a whole bunch of other things, because it can throw all like your hormones and stuff out of whack. Like, it's a very delicate thing, the human body. But yeah, primarily eat healthy foods during your eating window. It won't work if you're eating lots of processed foods or an excessive amount of calories. The second fasting method is the 5-2 diet, which involves eating what you would typically eat for 5 days of the week and then just fasting for 2 days, or restricting it at least to sort of 500 to 600 calories on those days off. So, you know, you can still eat some food so you don't starve on your fast days, but it's really wanting you to like keep it down as much as possible. That particular one has been found to be effective with helping with weight loss in particular, whereas the 16-8 is more of a sort of weight maintenance, potentially going towards muscle gain territory. The next one is called Eat Stop Eat, and involves a 24-hour fast once or twice a week. What does it involve? Fasting from dinner one day to dinner the next day amounts to a full 24-hour fast. So, yeah, that's, I mean, this one and the 5-2 can kind of be on similar grounds if you look at them the right way. Like if you're doing an Eat Stop Eat, but you're doing your stop twice a week, there's your 2, and if the dinner you're having on a stop day is only going to amount to about 500 to 600 calories, then it's just part of the 5-2. But if you've decided that, you know, like if you've gone up, no, it's a fast day today, but you wake up and you're really hungry and you decide, well, I'm gonna have breakfast instead, you can just go the rest of the day until sort of breakfast the next morning, doing the things like water and, you know, a piece of fruit or 2, black coffee, like those sorts of things, just to help curb hunger pains for like the rest of the day, and then just the next morning you have breakfast and you go as usual. It might also be that you know that you're going to be really busy doing work stuff that night, and that the next morning you've got you know, an important presentation or whatever in the morning. You've got to be there for, so you know you're not going to have much time there, and you might choose that lunch to lunch stop is going to be fine, and that's sort of where it differs. The 5-2 is within your 2 those days in total to equal that certain amount, whereas this one is from 7 p.m. to 7 p.m. you are not eating anything, and that's sort of where they differ. Number 4 is called alternate day fasting, where you fast about every other day. So it might be every second day, it might be every third day. It depends on what's working for you, without putting yourself at any sort of risk of you know, starvation, because we don't want to be doing that. So it says here there are several versions of this method. Some of them allow about 500 calories during the fast days. However, one small study found alternate day fasting wasn't any more effective at producing weight loss or weight maintenance than typical calorie restrictive diets. A full fast every other day can seem rather extreme, so it's not recommended for beginners. With this method, you may go to bed very hungry several times per week, which is not very pleasant and probably unsustainable in the long term. Yeah. We've then got one called the warrior diet, which, you know, if you haven't pictured yourself as a warrior at some point in your life, I mean, you're probably doing life right, because I've done that, and I'm here currently making this video. So chances are you're a little bit more successful than I am. However, it involves eating small amounts of raw fruits and vegetables during the day and eating one big meal at night, Viking style. Basically, you fast all day and feast at night within a 4-hour eating window. So the warrior diet's just a 24, like a 20-4. The warrior diet was one of the first popular diets to include a form of intermittent fasting, and the diet's food choices are quite similar to those of the paleo diet, mostly whole unprocessed foods. So if you're already doing the paleo, and you've really enjoyed watching Vikings, or you just absolutely love Assassin's Creed Valhalla, maybe this is the one that you would want to sort of get to the point of achieving. I would still recommend starting at something a little bit more basic, like the 5-2, slowly move into something like the 16-8, and then just start whittling your 8 down as you sort of, your body gets used to it. Because you don't just want to go from eating, you know, your regular meals every day of the week to all of a sudden, I'm only going to eat between 4 and 8 p.m. Your body's going to be like, what's going on here? And you're going to be starving all day. So yeah, don't just throw yourself into something like this. And then the last one is just spontaneous meal skipping. This one's not a recurring thing. You just at random go, you know what, I'm going to skip this meal and fast until when I've got my next meal planned. Now if that means that you decide that I'm just going to skip breakfast this morning, I'll wait till lunch, I'll eat then, or I'm going to skip lunch, I know that I've got a beautiful dinner waiting for me when I get home, I'm just going to wait for that. This one, you don't follow like a structured plan. And that's what it says here. You don't follow a structured plan to reap some of its benefits. Another option is to simply skip meals from time to time, such as when you don't feel hungry or are too busy to cook and eat. And again, it's not going to work if you decide to skip a healthy homemade dinner, for instance, only to then have McDonald's drive-through the next morning, or if you'd had, you know, takeout for lunch, like being like, oh, that was, you know, full of fats, and you know, like saturated fats and a whole bunch of sugar and sodium and stuff. I'm just gonna skip this one so that it levels out. Not how it works. It's not how it works. It's not. We're not transferring credits here. You did those electives. You chose to do those electives, and you are now choosing not to partake of a course. So yeah. So it says here, however, some people eat every few hours, lest they hit starvation mode or lose muscle, which can happen. Others' bodies are well equipped to handle long periods of famine and can miss 1 or 2 meals from time to time. You know yourself best. So if you're really not hungry one day, skip breakfast and just eat a healthy lunch and dinner, or if you're traveling somewhere and can't find anything you want to eat, you may be able to do a short fast. Skipping 1 or 2 meals when you feel inclined to do so is basically a spontaneous intermittent fast, and like I said, it's probably the easiest way to introduce yourself to the concept before deciding, yeah, I want to give the 5-2 a try, and then progress to that to a 16-8, progress from that to a warrior diet, assuming that that's where you want to go with the whole idea. So yeah, now each of those, the link for this is going to be in the description down below. Each of those do have a summary that I haven't read. I also haven't read most of the content on this page, but yeah, I will read the bit here where it says the bottom line. So it says, intermittent fasting is a weight loss tool that works for some people. It doesn't work for everyone, and that's really sort of the idea of it. So if you want to give the what was that last one called? The spontaneous meal skipping. If you want to spontaneously skip a meal from time to time, just to see if you feel like it's right for you, that's probably a good place to start. Because if you skip a meal, you know, so you say you decide to skip lunch one day, and then sometime during the next week you decide, I'm going to skip breakfast, see how that goes today, and then you know, like a fortnight after that you're just not feeling it for dinner, so you decide to give that a skip just to sort of see what works for you. That could be something you give a try too. If you then decide, yeah, you know what, I felt pretty good on the days when I did a small fast, I might give the 5-2 a try, and I'll make, you know, Tuesdays and Fridays my fast days, you know, where I'm eating a little bit less, and just sort of do that, and slowly get yourself into the flow of it, sort of thing. You know, you might find that it works for you. If you're finding that, you know, you didn't feel great when you were spontaneously skipping meals, you know, like maybe for the rest of that day you just were starving, you know, like you were just really hungry for the rest of the day, or you just, you know, you woke up feeling sick and lethargic afterwards, or whatever it might be, it's probably not right for you, in which case, you know, there are other things out there that you can try, but yeah, fasting won't be for you, so it's not for everybody. It's not recommended for people who have or are prone to eating disorders, and that's really important to know, because, you know, if you have someone who has an eating disorder, like if you know someone who has an eating disorder and they're trying to do some sort of a fast to try and trick their bodies into eating so that they, you know, can sort of trick their brains into getting out of the eating disorder, it's not going to work. It's actually going to make, you know, it's more likely going to make them worse, because all of a sudden their body's used to consuming less, and then their eating disorder on top of that is like, well, we already skipped lunch, we might as well skip dinner too. So it's not recommended for that. That's not what this is for. It could also be a potential issue for those with underlying health conditions, so like me with my epilepsy. But as I've mentioned before, it works for me because I'm still able to take my tablets in the morning, and then I generally start at sort of like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning sort of thing, at the cafe that I work at. I get a break usually sort of around about 11ish, so that's when I'm gonna have my first meal, and then I sort of finish, I can be home by 4, which, you know, is only sort of an hour off when I was going to have that 3 o'clock meal anyway, so I can have something to eat then to tide me over until, you know, 7 o'clock sort of thing, when I would have dinner, and then we're in here. So it works for me. It fits the lifestyle I'm currently living. All I've got to do is try and find a little bit more time to hit the gym during the week, and I'll actually be making some gains. But at the moment, it is helping with maintaining body fat percentage, which is what I'm doing it for. If you decide to try intermittent fasting, keep in mind that diet quality is crucial, which is why I did the macro calculations last month. That is like the most important thing whenever you're trying to, you know, even just do weight maintenance. That's really important to know. This is just sort of like an extra option on the menu. That's like, you know, that's what you've signed up for. That's what you need to know. This is just like, this could also help you if you're, you know, if you're interested in trying this as well. But yeah, diet quality is crucial. It's not possible to binge on ultra processed foods during the eating periods and expect to manage your weight and boost your health, obviously. Furthermore, before embarking on an intermittent fast, again, you should consult a healthcare professional. And yeah, that's all it's got for this video. So this link will be in the description down below, along with our question of the day, which I'm just looking for. It is number 18, which should be the one that this opens up to anyway, but it's not. Oh well. And so our question here is, what have I done lately that was worth remembering? How was it? How did it feel? And when did it happen? And my overthinking brain immediately goes to, are we talking like lifetime long remembering? Or just like, yeah, no, in the past week this was a significant thing that I did. Because within the past week, the significant thing that I've done is, I mean, I did it today, really, to think about like the most significant thing in the past week. And it's that I've got pretty much all the information I need to hopefully by next week or the week after be doing my work placement at a gym for my PT course. After lockdowns and forms going missing that I needed signed and confusion as to who was actually going to be my mentor, I finally found out that the real issue was that because that whole module of my work placement is currently locked to me and I can't access it. I didn't have any of the information that the gym managers were wanting to know. So I had to call them and ask them, yo, what's the deal? A very lovely man who was very patient with me because I was quite frustrated and annoyed and I wasn't operating on a whole lot of sleep. I'd had a day. He was very patient with me and I'm very grateful to him for that. But he gave me everything I needed to know. So at the moment, the plan is to swing by the gym tomorrow afternoon, because one of the gyms that I went to talk to is like 2-3 blocks away from where I live. And it's actually on the way home from where I work. Like, I take a small detour and I go past it. So it's not going to be out of my way to go and do that. So the plan is to go and do that tomorrow. Be like, hey, can you sign these forms? Here's all the information you've asked for. You know, and like, you know, if you can get this approved for me quickly and sign these forms, that would be greatly appreciated. Because then we can actually talk about when I'm coming in. Because obviously, I'm gonna have my own stuff. My current plan, I'm gonna have my own stuff that I'm gonna need to sort out on my side as well. So yeah, hopefully that means that by mid next month I will finish doing my work placement, can really knuckle down and get the rest of this course out the way before I move to Sydney. So yeah, that's me. But like I said, the article for intermittent fasting and the question of the day in the description down below. If you are new here, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell as well if you want to be notified when I upload new videos. If you enjoyed this one, please give it a big old thumbs up. And until next time, guys, keep your head screwed on.